Hey.
Hi.
Welcome to Viva Physical Media, episode 15.
What?
And it also happens to be someone's birthday.
Who?
This
What?
guy.
Me?
Kevin.
Oh, it's my birthday.
Happy Kevin's birthday, everybody. When you watch this, of course, it will not be Kevin's birthday, but the spirit will still be there. The vibe's right.
You'll see the hat, and Emily made these delicious drinks in lieu of me having an actual Dr. Pepper. This is a...
Well, the one recipe I saw, it was called a dirty Dr. Pepper. But if you look that up, there's also this drink with Dr. Pepper, coconut syrup, and like lime. That's a non-alcoholic drink called a dirty Dr. Pepper. This one is Fireball, Amaretto, and Coca-Cola.
This one is alcoholic. I can vouch for this.
But this is a birthday cocktail. It's a special day.
It's great. It's great. But it doesn't taste like Dr. Pepper necessarily. This is probably closer to like Dr. Thunder or Dr. Skipper than it is Dr. Pepper.
Like Professor Spice MD or something. Before we get started, I have some stuff for Kevin.
Oh no. I mean, yay.
So
I'm always weird about surprises.
And you're going to be on film with your surprises. Here's your birthday card, Kevin.
Okay. Holy poop, it's your birthday.
It's funny because we watch dog movies.
And then it says, hope it's stinking amazing. Happy birthday, Kevin. Even though you had to work all day, I hope that a little Viva Physical Media party helps make your birthday great. Thanks for being a totally rad coworker, co-host, and friend. I appreciate you and are happy you were born. Aww.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm happy I was born too, just for this one moment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. So while I was at the dollar store getting your glass and your hat, I saw some stuff that I thought you might like. So here's this one first. Okay.
I hope this is entertaining for the viewers too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope this is what you get. This is what you're paying for.
Yeah, it's our show.
To watch me open gifts.
So you know how much we love the Snyder Cut.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, so he can make his own fights or supportive moments.
I can do my own Dawn of Justice with these
you definitely
every morning
can.
When I wake up. Okay,
Here is another one.
Great answer for sure. Ooh, ninja wall crawlers.
Yeah, you throw them on your wall and they stick and then they unpeel and they kind of fall down, but it looks like they're crawling. All right.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Here's your last gift.
This is great. Whoa, more. Okay. We should start this every time.
We should always get each other gifts at the beginning of the show when we all open them.
Hey, if you guys think that we should give each other gifts at the beginning of each show, let us know either in the comments or viva@scarecrow.com.
Or if you want to see us open your gifts that you send us, you can send us gifts as well.
Yeah.
Scarecrow Video, 5030 Roosevelt Way, Northeast Seattle, Washington, 98105.
And one more. It says grow. It's a terrifying face.
You put him in water and he grows 6 times as big.
6 times?
I think. 600%. It's gonna be like a real head.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thanks for the toys.
Yeah. Oh, today is the first day of SIF. They're doing a virtual festival. I think once this comes out, you're gonna have maybe a little less than a week left. So go on their website. There's some cool stuff you can watch in the comfort of your home. Oh, I watched Inland Empire for the first time.
Oh, yeah. What'd you think?
It was quite something. It was long. Yeah, it was long. It's something I've been putting off for a while because I've watched almost every other Lynch movie, and I know that this one was kind of known as his most like inaccessible, like kind of experimental. It's my favorite moment, of course, is when all the random girls that were hanging out in that one room get up and start doing a choreographed dance to the Locomotion. Mwah.
That's great.
It's fantastic. Also, just Laura Dern looking confused during that whole movie. You know what we did, Kevin?
We both went to a movie theater for the first time recently. First time in a year. Not the first time ever.
It was our first time in a movie theater.
First time
it
in a
was
movie
crazy.
Theater, I was terrified. The train came right at us.
Yeah, I know.
And then someone told me it wasn't
How
real.
is that horse off the entire ground with none of its feet touching?
I don't know. I don't get it. It was terrifying. It was like witchcraft.
We went and saw Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, our friend Brian Rosenquist, he rented out the Beacon Cinema.
It was awesome. The Beacon Cinema was the last movie theater I was at before the pandemic, so it was like a little return.
He cut together like a 20-minute.
Oh, that was tight.
Godzilla like
pre-show reel.
Pre-show reel.
That was super fun as someone who hasn't seen like barely any King Kong or Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
Seeing that made me like, oh shit, I should watch some of these wacky old ones. I'm definitely a King Kong girl. I'm empathetic. He's like a puppy.
Well, Godzilla is like a metaphor, and Kong is like a romantic figure. This guy, he's like the victim in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
he's
that's
always,
why
everyone he's getting taken from his home.
The first and
else.
only movie that I ever walked out in the theater was Peter Jackson's King Kong, because I think I was like 14 or 15 when I saw it, and I watched most of it, and then it was the scene where he's sliding around on the ice, and I knew that he was gonna get shot and like hurt, and this was his last little moment of joy, and so I got up and left the theater because I didn't think I could handle it.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've never finished that movie.
But yeah, speaking of like bloated, like speaking of Snyder Cut-ish stuff, like that Peter Jackson King Kong is sort of like that, where you like are like, I don't know, you need to include everything, dude.
Right.
Maybe make some cuts here and there. I feel like that's the point of the Snyder Cut, but then also watching the Snyder Cut, I feel like, well, you could cut some of this.
What did you guys feel about the Snyder Cut? Email us, viva@scarecrow.com. We got to get some more messages coming through our inbox. I want to start a dialogue with you guys.
What's your favorite long cuts or director's cuts? What are your favorite director's cuts?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Because sometimes they can be way different. Sometimes it can be Blade Runner, where it was like majorly different from the original cut, and then every cut since then looks almost identical to me.
Sometimes until they suck, like the Warriors.
Yeah.
Again, up in the horror attic down in Olympia, Washington. I'm really stoked to be on another episode of Viva Physical Media, Hale's fucking Scarecrow video. So I'm gonna talk about some of the weird fucking sections I got up here, and you know, talk about a few of the rad movies in them. So thanks for tuning in, Hales. Hey, so this is the slasher closet. It wasn't big enough for all the slashers, so it spilled out over here. Alright, some of my favorites in here. We got a power tool section. So, you obviously got to have driller killer. That's some good fucking shit. I got delirium. It's really good stuff right there. I looked for that one forever. Finally found it. A pre-Halloween section. So some of those are Tower of Evil, Savage Weekend, and The Night God Screamed. And over here, knock the stuff over again. This one's really rad. Blood Frenzy. It's directed by a dude who used to do porn. He kind of just swapped out the lube for kaopectate in this one. And like I talked about before, I got Sledgehammer, $1.99 from Scarecrow Video. Got some good stuff. Gotta have iced. Gotta have that ski slasher stuff. And you gotta have some shot on video fucking trash. Phantom Brother. Learned about that from bleedingskull.com. Alright, I got some anthologies, some other stuff, but one of my favorite section is Get a Job Loser, You Shit Your Pants. So it's bum horror. The bum horror, we got The Vagrant. Fucking street trash. Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. And Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Alright, if you look this away, I got Bigfoot and cryptids. Spills down here. I spent some good money on this one, and then it came in the mail, and who the fuck just takes the cover off of it? So, yeah, I ain't got the cover on that. Yeti's some good shit. It's pretty much a King Kong ripoff, but with a big Yeti. You gotta have the OG Legend of Boggy Creek. Gotta have Night of the Demon, where Bigfoot rips a guy's dick off while he's taking a piss on the side of the road. Snow Beast, some fucking rad made-for-TV shit. But the weirdest one I have, it's Tanya's Island. It's the world's first fantasy Sasquatch rape film. Never thought that was a thing, but this was $5. And Hunting Grounds, aka Valley of the Sasquatch. If you get this Blu-ray, I am in the extras taking the director on a little Sasquatch expedition into the Queets Rainforest in Olympic National Park. So yeah, check that out. You also got some more softcore porn, weird shit. The Beauties and the Beast and Ape Canyon. You know, who doesn't want to fuck a Bigfoot? Alright, till next time, I'll be back. I'll
do my first movie, or in this instance, movies. I picked two movies, two different DIY, like, sort of VHS, straight to VHS movies from the late 80s and early 90s. And it is these two, Shock, 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 and Debbie Does Damnation. So I'll start with Debbie Does Damnation. So I came across this because it was plugged on bleedingskull.com.
Oh, cool.
And so I was like, oh, I'm going to see if we have it. And we actually have two copies of it because one of them, because it was made, the director is a guy who directed porn. And if you watch this movie, you'll pretty quickly see, like, oh, yeah,
You'll know why.
This is made by people who do porn. So one of the versions does not have any hardcore porn in it, and the other version has some extra minutes of hardcore porn. But in the movie, it is like, the thing is that it's like a lot of this lady walking around naked with a sword, and so you could be mistaken for it to being like that it is just like a softcore porn, but it's also really funny. It has this like weird, it has like all this great. Both of these have like this great like cheapo stop motion. Like this one has this skull that comes in like walking on like these spider legs and starts like joking with the naked lady.
Okay, let me think. Okay, you're in a situation right now where you're gonna be that man's dinner, but I can change everything if you will do something for me.
That man's dinner?
Now, behind you there's a sword. Once I untie you, you're gonna have to kill that beast with that sword. And once you are freed, then you're gonna have to help me on a quest to retrieve the devil's horns. Are you interested?
Okay, untie me.
It's got these great monsters and stuff. It was shot on Super 8 in like his garage or whatever. Both of these movies are all very like knowing and very like sort of in that like campy vein where it's like we know what we're doing. We know we're making like this silly stupid movie, but it's fun.
How do you get with me? Fuck you up, motherfucker.
There's not much plot to it except that like this lady Debbie. Well, for the first lady, there's a first and naked lady, and she has a sword, and then she gets eaten by this monster. And then a second lady, she gets some armor eventually, so is mostly clothed.
Oh, thank goodness.
And then ends up going to fight, the main bad guys and stuff. I don't know. That's pretty much it. But it's just I love the DIY like let's just make a fucking movie kind of movie. I do want to preface it because it's like. It's basically like a lot of like naked lady walking around.
Yeah, if you're under 18, don't watch it.
It's not made by people who make porn. So
Cool.
Debbie Does Damnation. The second one, Shock, Shock, Shock.
Shock, shock, shock.
I've seen this a couple times, and when I saw this, I was like, this is pretty short, and so I was like, I don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
It made me go like, I want to watch Shock, Shock, Shock again. And this movie is crazy. And this is, again, like something that's not on DVD or anything. It is like a very cool, let's put everything in the blender and mix it up. And out comes this kind of dumb thing. It starts off and it's...
What was that?
What the?
The little boy murdered them. And then it's him years later, and he's in an insane asylum, but then he escapes from the insane asylum.
Oh, shit.
And then he meets this girl, and there's these weirdos following her, and they capture her, and there's a scientist who's her dad that the guy meets, and then more and more happens, and I don't want to spoil too much. It starts off as like this movie where these parents are murdered by this child, maybe, and ends in an entirely different genre. The other awesome thing about this movie, this is an early appearance by one James Gandolfini.
What?
And if you watch it,
oh my God,
it's a silhouette of him. He plays like he plays an orderly towards the beginning of the movie, and he's only in shadow. But like if you know that him,
profile,
if you know it's him, and you look at that silhouette, you're like, that's James Gandolfini.
What year is this?
1988.
I feel like the Sopranos cast like keeps popping up. We swear we're not doing this on purpose, but I feel like they keep popping up in all of the movies that we talk about.
But yeah,
cool.
But Shock, and Debbie Does Damnation, two weirdo, only on VHS.
Do we send out VHS for rental by mail right now?
We don't. We may in the future, depending on how the system works. But right now we don't, just because the mail system is
not reliable
unpredictable,
enough.
and VHS tapes, especially like these, are hard to come by.
Right.
So.
If you live in the area, call us to rent some of these. And
you can come pick these up from us for sure.
Yeah. Just reminding you guys, it's Kevin's birthday.
In case you just tuned in.
In case you
skipped the earlier segments straight to this one.
Yeah, why would you do that? I don't know.
I don't know why either.
So the movie I'm going to talk about is The Piano. I don't know if this made it into the last episode when I was talking about the movie Fingers with Harvey Keitel as a piano player. And then I was like, well, I should rent the Harvey Keitel movie with the piano called The Piano.
Called The Piano.
Where he kind of plays, but not seriously. This movie is by Jane Campion, who I really enjoy. This came out in 1993. It stars Holly Hunter, Harvey Keitel, Sam Neill, and Anna Paquin in her first role. She's only 11 in this movie.
Won an Academy Award, too.
She won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. She's the second youngest. The first was Tatum O'Neal for Paper Moon, which we are both a big fan of. So this movie, Holly Hunter is a woman who is mute and communicates by sign language, and also through what she considers some sort of like telepathy, and also through the music she plays on her piano. And her daughter, played by Anna Paquin, is kind of like her translator, basically. She gets married off to a frontiersman in New Zealand, so they're from Scotland, I believe, and they go to meet Sam Neill, who's her husband, and they bring this huge piano because that is her passion. If you've heard of this movie, there's like the iconic like shot where there's this piano on a big empty stretch of beach. That's because when they get everything to the beach where they get off the boat, he's like, well, we can't carry this piano right now. We're gonna have to leave it here. And she's like, I'll wait basically with this piano until you guys can carry it. So there's a really beautiful scene where her and her daughter stay on the beach with the piano, and her daughter makes a tent out of the hoop skirt that she's wearing under her dress, and then like makes it like with a little fire underneath, and it's just really beautiful. Samuel's like not a jerk or anything. He's just like, he tries to be a good man, and she's just like not into him. She's like, whatever, I just want to play my piano. He has a friend who is like an ex-sailor or something, who's played by Harvey Keitel, more of like a rough around the edges kind of dude, and he develops a fascination with Holly Hunter, and Sam Neill gives him her piano, and in order for her to get it back, her and Harvey Keitel create a deal where she'll like earn back the piano key by key during these lessons, which is basically just like Harvey Keitel like wanting to like make out with her or like watch her play the piano naked or things like that. Right. And she's like, fine, this is a business transaction, even though he's totally in love with her. And then it becomes something more. It's basically about their affair, how Sam Neill deals with it, how Anna Paquin is just kind of caught in the middle, having to communicate between everybody. And something happens very intense, and it's beautifully shot and very thrilling, and I was basically holding my breath at the end. Jane Campion won the 1993 Palme d'Or at Cannes, And she's the first and only woman, even now, to have won that, according to Wikipedia, who is like a really respected source. There's some beautiful like foresty shots. There's like an amazing underwater shot that I'm not going to get into, but it's just incredible. I'm glad I watched that other movie with Harvey Keitel on a piano because it brought me to this one. And Holly Hunter does great. Like she has a narration a couple of times, but for the most part, she's just communicating through her expressions, obviously through sign language to her daughter and then through the piano, but it's such a wonderful performance. I kind of want to watch some more Keitel stuff or revisit some because he's great. So yeah, the piano, check it out.
Rainier, naturally brewed, mountain fresh.
Naturally cool.
Still waiting on that those cases, Rainier.
Yeah, where's our
sponsorship?
Where's the sponsorship, Rainier?
Do you want to talk about your next movie?
Yeah, my next movie is one of my favorite movies. It's I think one of the best animated movies of all time, and it's a movie called Mind Game. By Masaaki Yuasa, Japanese animated film. It's like a feature-length experimental animation film. I mean, there's a story, but one of the great selling points of it is like that it's just like an explosion of different kinds of styles of animation and tone, and he wanted to like sort of blow it up and like go like, it should be more chunky. Animation doesn't have to look like realistic, quote unquote, or whatever.
Shot in the butt by a soccer-playing psychopath.
Yeah, I'll get to that. So it's based on a manga, which I've never read. It's not translated into English as far as I know. It has been translated into like French, but I still don't read French. So, but I'm working on it. It's a story of 4 people, really. But the main character is Nishi, he's like a young aspiring manga artist. He runs into this girl that he'd had a crush on back in like junior high and high school, and she is being chased by these gangsters who are after her father because he's sleeping with the girlfriend of one of the gangster Yakuza. They end up at a noodle shop that her sister runs. The gangsters show up. Some bad stuff happens. He ends up getting shot through the butt by a soccer-playing Yakuza. There's a great scene where he meets God. So God's like, go this way, and he's like, wait, but if I go that way, that's back to life, right? And he runs, and so he outruns God, and he jumps back into his life. So he comes back to right before he died, and he ends up turning the tables on the gangster who shot him through the butt. And then he takes the girls, the 2 sisters, and they get in the Yakuza car. There's a car chase, and they're driving along, and then they end up in a whale, sort of like in Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And there they meet an old man.
Of course, old men are always inside whales.
An old man who has been inside the whale for a long time, and from then on, it's like sort of a exploration of these characters and them learning who they are, coming to terms with what they actually want out of life. Amazing.
No, it sounds wild.
I've seen it like several times. It's wild, but it's
when
also...
was it made?
2004.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those movies that I've watched several times, and every time I watch it, I kind of get something else out of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of just has this like momentum, especially towards the end, that's just like... It's a movie that totally rewards rewatch because the first time through, you're like, whoa, that was something. And the second time you watch it, you go like, oh, hey, wait. This scene is a scene that's going to happen at the end of the movie, and now you know the context of who that scene, this little tiny clip belongs to later in the movie, you know, and it's about like, oh, this is a thing that happened, and characters remembering their memories from their past. It has some great gags in it about memories. This is in the car chase. They crash through this like doll factory, and then there's some gangsters chasing them. The gangsters are like, oh no, we're gonna die, and then he's like, oh, we made it through, and then
Pichi! 戻ってきたんや。
Oh
But it was like
no,
this
but he
great
was
little,
reunited with
but it was
his
like this
dead
great
bird.
little like moment right before he died. It's a visual feast. It's got music by the guy who did whose name I can't remember, but he did the music for Cowboy Bebop also.
Oh, cool.
Everybody check out Mind Game. It's my favorite of his movies. I think out of the gate he came out as insane as you can. This is what I'm about. If it's the only movie I ever make, I want to make sure it's the most insane movie
you've hyped it up. I'm going to take it home tonight.
Oh, I hope I've hyped it up for everybody else too.
Yeah, you guys also watch this. It's my turn, you guys. And I'm gonna watch it right now. I'm gonna talk about The Appointment. I got my VCR hooked up, so I'm diving in, you guys. This is The Appointment. What's cool is that I just I just looked on my list of like movies my watch list on Letterboxd, and I grabbed the tape and I watched it, and I was like, okay, I gotta go grab the actual box today to talk about it. And as I was like reaching down, I was like, please be a good box. And it's rad. It's so rad. It's like a skeleton hand with a pocket watch covered in blood and like a date book and then a bouquet. It's very cool. It does not disappoint. It does not disappoint. I'm happy with it. This movie came out in 1981. It was directed by a woman named Lindsay Vickers and starring Edward Woodward, who you said was from a TV show called Equalizer, which I've never seen.
The main dude in the Wicker Man. He's the guy who's gonna get Wicker Man.
He's gonna get Wicker Man.
The original Wicker
Yeah, I didn't know much about this movie. The description on Letterboxd is super vague, so I watched it and I was like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Well, hold on. Before you tell me what's gonna happen, judging just by the cover, a skeleton is going to be looking at its appointment book and is going to be like looking at its watch and maybe think, oh no, I'm late for a date with my true love because of the red roses.
Which is not what happens.
Ah, okay.
There's like a narration and it shows this girl, the schoolgirl, like cutting across a field to get home and her being mysteriously like snatched into the woods. And so there's either a supernatural force or a killer on the loose. Then it goes to this family, this British family, and this guy's like, I have to go on a business trip, even though I told my teenage daughter I would make her like violin recital, but I'm not gonna be able to do it. And the mom's like, oh, you're gonna have to tell Joanne, like she's gonna be not happy about it. So he tells his daughter and she's really, really upset. She's like a total daddy's girl, and like she goes up to her room, she stomps up to her room and she looks at all these like pictures of her and her dad. How could he do this to her even though he has to like go on this business trip? It's not like something he wants to do. That night he and his wife are in bed and they each have a series of really strange dreams about him driving his car to go on this business trip and getting in a terrible accident. And they both have different versions of this dream involving these 3 black dogs and this major accident and the man being stuck in his car. The plot is like so simple, but this movie is like an hour and a half long. But he goes on his business trip and the rest of the movie is you're kind of on your edge of your seat being like, did he just like have a premonition of his death or not? And that's basically...
Oh, and that's The Appointment.
Then that's The Appointment.
Well, The Appointment with death, right?
Maybe. It's a very slow burn, but it really sucks you in. It's like super kind of hypnotic and like what's gonna happen, very dreamy. There's like this drony noise just kind of going out the whole thing. I was looking on people who saw it on Letterboxd, and I saw a couple great descriptions here. Domestic pastoral doom psych was one of the descriptions that I was like, yes, totally. The last 20 minutes, it's all like slow burn and then like very, very kind of dreamy. And the last 20 minutes is just like nail biting, edge of your seat, very, very unsettling. The whole movie is very like disquieting and like strange.
Wow.
But the last 20 minutes, I was like holding my breath. It's that feeling where you're like half asleep and you like you fall or you trip or whatever, and you're like awake again, and you kind of feel like, ugh. That was how I felt like the last 20 minutes of this weird movie. And I don't even know if I would describe it as a horror movie, because it never really settles on if it's a supernatural or thriller or like something completely different. But it's just like such a strange, like dreamy, macabre kind of experience that like there's literally like every description I've seen of it, you can't really pin it down.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of upsetting.
How did this end up on like your watch list? Do you have any idea? Like what? Because it's so weird. I've never heard of this, and then looking at this cover, it's like, why? And nobody has heard of this.
I don't remember.
And so, no, at some point, like in your appointment book, a skeleton wrote this movie.
Oh my god!
And like
that skeleton logged onto my letterbox and added it to my watch list. Maybe like female horror directors, because it is directed by a woman. At first I was like, okay, this is a little slow going, but then it kind of, it was very like hypnotic, kind of lulled me in, and then I was just like, what am I watching here? Like,
awesome.
Yeah, I really recommend it if you're looking for something strange and unsettling. Also, this cover's just so tight.
Oh, this cover's great. I know.
So, The Appointment.
The Appointment.
Check it out.
I have an appointment with it.
Okay, you can open your eyes.
Oh!
Yay! Yay! It's just vanilla. I didn't know what kind you liked.
Vanilla!
Oh my god.
Oof.
Yeah, do you want to do like a shot of Fireball before we talk about this? It's my fault, really.
It's nobody's fault. You can't take the blame for it because you didn't make it. This is nobody's fault except for the people who decided to finance and produce this thing.
And of course, we are talking about Millionaire Dogs. Or Hot Dogs, wow, we're rich.
It belongs behind my birthday cake.
Yeah,
so it's an animated movie, a cartoon.
German animated movie from 1999 by Michael Schumann. This director directed a movie called Magic Voyage, and when I looked on Letterboxd, Scarecrow Video is the only one who logged it on their Letterboxd. And then also a movie called Little Big Panda.
This movie is a German production. It has been the version we saw has been dubbed into English.
The original German version apparently had some more violent scenes that were cut for the U.S. release.
For the UK release, which was then premiered on like Cartoon Network once.
During Cartoon Theater, which is where they showcased films. I want to know the violent scenes they cut. Where's the Snyder cut of Millionaire Dogs?
Felidae was also shown on the UK version of Adult Swim, which sank it because they didn't look at it ahead of time.
They didn't look at it closely.
It absolutely was not for kids.
No.
Felidae is good though. That was Rich's one of Rich's cat movies he brought up a while ago, and that was a German cat movie. But that was like
that's what I kind of thought. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be the same like level or whatever, but like kind of a similar vibe.
That was a story.
Right.
That had something to it. This movie for me felt like how Uwe Boll, the German director, famously has made all these video game movies because of like a tax. There's like a tax loophole. It's like a tax scam for his producers in Germany, and that's what this movie felt like. It felt like there had to be some sort of scam by the producers, like that. Like, we have to produce a movie, but it doesn't matter if it's good or finished or whatever, because this movie is so half-assed and shitty.
Yeah,
and
I thought that it might
watch.
have cool animation, but it didn't. I thought
it might at least be funny.
Let's go through the animals. So there's the street dog.
I'm not going to remember any of their names.
I am, because I watched this right before I got here.
Okay, good.
The street dog, JD, he lives under a bridge, and he meets this very uptight inventor dog who gets abandoned named Chuffy. And then they see this parrot who is a Spanish parrot who can't fly. He fell off the motorcycle he was riding on and he's like dangling from this bridge, and they want to eat this parrot for food. This parrot's name is Emo. The parrot's like, no, you guys shouldn't eat me. I actually live in this mansion. Just come with me, and I'll let the people know that you saved my life. So they follow him back to this mansion. He does live in a mansion ran by this elderly woman named Miss Lily, and she has a bunch of different dogs there. So there's a sexy, slinky, seductive dog, Bella.
I do remember that name.
How could you forget?
How could
she
you
has
forget?
She has like long red hair, and she's very like sultry or whatever. She wants to be an actress. Velvet, our teenage queen, who loves listening to her Walkman, and she has blonde hair and a ponytail, and she wants to be a model in a fashion magazine. She reads a lot of Vogue.
Dog that gets real buff.
Yeah, there's the dog that loves working out. I forgot his name. This elderly woman just loves like taking care of dogs, abandoned dogs.
Maybe that's all of
she
them.
also has huge cartoon boobs, which is something I noticed.
All the character design in this movie is just like atrocious. It's awful.
She plays the piano, she sings, she rides a motorcycle.
Ladies, listen to this. This song is gonna make your heart beat faster. Life's a winding serpentine, so don't you get confused.
So these two street dogs are welcomed in with open arms, and they kind of immediately, Bella's like, I want to fuck this dog, JD. And she's like, I've been burned before. All Labradors are the same. Even though, like, I don't think he's a Labrador. He doesn't look like a lab. She ran away from the circus, and
just
then
like our buddy Bingo.
just like Bingo. I know, I miss him.
I miss him already.
I miss him.
so. I feel like I was a little hard on Bingo last
You're
episode.
a little rough on him. Rough.
But I feel like it made me look back with rose-colored glasses at all of
A little
the,
misty-eyed.
all of the fun stuff that happened in Bingo, and wish that was happening while I was watching this.
These twins that are the niece and nephew of Miss Lily, who are like disgusting looking.
We're very concerned about your well-being.
They're so ugly.
I hate looking
It's such
at
an
them.
ugly
I
design.
really hate
and they're
looking at
always
them.
like touching each other, and it's very weird.
They want to put Miss Lily in a senior living home so they can have the mansion and inherit her millions of dollars. Turns out before that can happen, Miss Lily passes away reading a story to her dogs.
The people who made this movie hated us.
And those are the only people those the only characters in the entire city. They'll like go outside and there
There's
won't be any other
nobody.
cars or any pedestrians or any background people at all. It's just like them only in the city. So Miss Lily dies and the animals are really sad, but they're like, you know what, Miss Lily would want us to run this mansion. And so they just like
No, they get left the mansion in her will, and then the niece and nephew find out a loophole where they're like,
dog
if
law.
we can get the dog law. They go through all the law
they go
books
to
and
a
the law
they go to
in
a beautiful library.
Oh my God.
And it's like books everywhere you can see, and they are they're unsupervised because there's no one else in the city except for them, and they're throwing books on the ground, and then they finally find this dog law and they rip it out of the book. So anyways, they find this law, and the law is if the dogs are out of the property for 48 hours straight, then it goes to the next living human family member, which would be these twins.
These awful,
and so
ugly,
they
terrifying
take
twins.
this dog law to Dr. Quack, who is an actual dog psychologist.
I had trouble paying attention.
Let me consult my notes.
Also, before this, in the
Madman.
movie-
I wrote Madman for Hire. This entire movie is backed by like really weird pop songs.
Yeah.
That I tried to find information on and could not, because I was like,
can't
well,
find
maybe
any.
this movie is like in order to promote like some sort of music group or
Yeah.
something, and I couldn't find anything on that.
Well, because you're watching this and you think there's got to be some reason that they made this.
Yeah.
And then
You really
it
can't
turns
find
out
much.
There's not.
The Madman for Hire, Dr. Quack, the actual duck, is like, okay, what are each of these dogs' like passions and interests? Let me exploit them. And he ends up like kidnaps them to get him out of the house, and the twins move in.
They put the dogs in like places where at first it seems like it's supposed to be like
Chuffy wanted to
ironic.
go to space, so they put him in like
So they
this
give him to,
simulation.
they give him to like NASA or something.
And then he's just
NASA's,
stuck in this
testing-
simulation.
testing him on the spinny thing.
Bella
just gets put in like a ship somewhere, and it's like that's not ironic or anything. They trick the dogs into thinking they're going to become famous and shit.
And they put they put Emo, who can't fly, on top of like a skyscraper where he clearly can't come down. But they didn't catch JD, the street dog. He's
No.
the one who's going to save all of these dogs. But the twins already moved in.
And then the twins move in and ruin the place.
Yeah, they say, what do millionaires eat for breakfast? Stuffed parrots and hot dogs washed down with champagne. Anyways, they move in early. They like lock up all the doors and they're like, we're gonna have the biggest parties. It's like, with who, dude? Like, you don't have friends, obviously, and also there's no one in this city.
I don't fucking know. Everything's so ugly and dumb and awful in this movie.
Yeah,
it's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
JD saves all the dogs, and they end up getting back into the mansion before the 48 hours and kicking the twins out, and then I really don't remember what happens.
They find out of some stuff about
more dog laws.
Aunt Lily. They invite other animals to live in the house.
An elephant and a little cat at the end.
At the end, it turns into like a hotel for dogs, or like more like a hotel in Babe Pig in the City.
They fucking wish they were a hotel for a dog.
They were a fucking hotel for any of that shit. I put this in and I looked at the runtime, and it was an hour and 20 minutes, and I was like, nice, hour and 20 minutes. And then 5 minutes and I was like, oh my God, there's a fucking over an hour of this movie left.
We don't recommend this one, I don't think, you guys.
Yeah, I don't know, you could tell.
I wonder how it pairs up against Millionaire Dog from 2014.
You know what? I bet Millionaire Dog is better. The cover of Millionaire Dog is already better than Millionaire Dogs, the movie.
I thought this might be cool, and I was wrong. And you know what? This is how we learn. You know, we have the opportunity to make these mistakes because we're surrounded by over like 130,000 movies.
That's true.
And so I can be like, oh, look, that shit says Millionaire Dogs. Kevin, let's watch this.
Looking at the cover, it looks like shit, kind of, but it's also like, it also looks like maybe there's something.
Maybe there's something. That's what I thought.
Maybe there's something weird here, you know, something weird and funny. Like, the closest thing I can compare this to is
Bad Oliver and Company.
It's Bad Oliver and Company for sure, but it's also the movie it reminded me of most, like, in a way that made me feel was that movie Food Fight, which we brought up before. Who started this?
And it's like, I don't want to look at this with my eyes. How they moved and like.
Yeah, the animation is
also
just
the dubbing over was like really abrasive and like loud.
You know,
I didn't like how overt her sexuality was.
It's weird.
And that made me uncomfortable.
It's weird.
I am surprised there was no horny chihuahua in this movie. How many paws do you give this one?
I can't give it any.
No,
I'm giving it no pause.
I also give it no pause, you guys.
Dump out of here.
I mean, try it out if you want, but like, we're not recommending it.
I hate to be too negative, but just, you know, sometimes you have to be. Sometimes something just comes along that deserves it.
I also feel really good that I don't have to watch Millionaire Dogs now.
What are we gonna do next?
We're gonna do something.
It's gonna be a lot different.
It's gonna
Not
be
even a little different.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot different and hopefully a lot more satisfying and just better in general.
And it's a movie called White God.
White God.
It's a little harsh at times. But
Is it gonna make me cry?
Maybe.
It's been a while since one of our dog movies has really made me feel.
Yeah.
To be fair, the last two were my picks, and I need to come up with. But we got to go through the bad ones too.
It's a spectrum.
It is a spectrum, and I will not stop choosing shitty-looking cartoon dog movies.
And nor should you, and nor should I. The dog movie genre.
Is wide-reaching.
Is far-reaching, and that's sort of what we're getting at here. Is that we can plumb the depths of a lot of things.
We're not gonna run out, you guys.
We're definitely not gonna run out.
How can she throw all this to the dogs? And the parrot! Don't forget the parrot! I will fight you.
But the bucket is empty.
The bucket is empty.
So that means it is over.
That means it's over. I hope you guys had fun watching us talk about all these movies. Viva@scarecrow.com with any questions or comments or recommendations or just really anything. Check out Scarecrow's podcast, Scarecrow Radio. Check out Mark Steiner's
Soundtrack Cinema, Art House with Kate and Jamie.
Yeah, if you're in the area, call to rent movies or do an appointment online and come in and browse. No worries, we're not going to open up until it's completely safe, so keep your ears open. Keep your ears open,
your eyes peeled.
Yes. We're going to have a fundraiser and a telethon, another one of those fun, wacky 8-hour live stream telethons.
Coming up in May, towards the end of May, and I'll flash the date on the bottom because I can't remember right now.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, it won't be anybody's birthday next time, but
if it's yours, let us know. We'll celebrate. I love birthdays. I'll celebrate anyone's birthday. Viva Physical Media.
Yeah.